see.
There we go. Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah, is that working?
It's
Not
we
on
can see your
slide view yet.
slides down the sides.
Oh, it's the wrong way around. Yeah, of course it is.
And now it's
Hang on.
presenter view.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go. Right, okay, cool.
You're making me feel so much better,
It's
Chris.
all gone so well so far today, as it always does. So anyway, morning everybody. Thank you for coming along today, and sorry about the tech stuff. We will get better at that over time. So today's session obviously is going to be around Devon's approach to children's direct payments. My name is Chris Watson. I'm your host today. So I do most of my work through self-directed futures, which hopefully some of you guys know about. We do a lot of work around individual service funds, but we do also do a little bit of work around direct payments. I'm also the chair of SDS Network England. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about SDS Network. So it's a global movement for self-direction. We've got nearly 1,000 members now, and it's part of Citizen Network's wider 6,500 member community. We've now got 12 national hubs sharing best practice around self-direction around the world. We have a growing commissioner network, and if you're not signed up to it already, we'd love to have you in there. And I think we're now up to 71 councils in England. So we're really, I think it's about 75 to get to half of the councils in England. So really, if you know any councillors who aren't in the network, please do let them know about it, because obviously we're really happy to keep growing. And our network is really about connecting, I guess, people who want to sort of reform the system, practitioners, families, and providers, and shaping the future of care for everybody, really. So just in terms of house rules, if you wouldn't mind keeping your microphone muted during the presentation. If you have any questions as we go along, if you could pop them in the chat, and then I think Wendy's very happy to pick up questions at the end of her slide, so we're going to hold off on questions till the end. And obviously, please be respectful and supportive of all contributions, and this webinar is going to be recorded as well. So if that's an issue, please just keep your camera switched off. So just in terms of the agenda, we're going to move on to Wendy's presentation shortly, and then, as I said, we'll do a Q&A after that. So I will hand over to Wendy Saunders to introduce herself.
Okay, thank you. Bear with me while I present my slides now. Okay, can you see that as a normal slide, not a presenter view? Yeah, perfect, thank you. Okay, so I'm Wendy Saunders, and I'm a team manager and direct payment lead in Devon County Council. I don't know about you. I think there's quite a range of people here. I don't know if you struggle to explain what you do to family and friends who don't do what we do. That's kind of how I felt when I was putting this together. So if I haven't covered things you were interested in, I'm more than happy to answer questions at the end, or if you want to contact me outside of this, more than happy to chat through. There's lots of things that I'm trying to cover today based on my discussion with Chris. So apologies if there's things that you're not interested in, but if I go too quickly over things, like I said, I'm happy to go into more detail at another time. But half an hour isn't very long when I enjoy what I do so much that I want to talk about it so much. So let's see how we get on. So what I'm going to try and cover is thinking particularly about Devon, when we provide a direct payment and how, why we needed to change what we were doing. That's kind of the key part of what I'm talking about. And kind of some bits at the end about what we're developing and learning that might be useful to you, depending on where you're from. So I'm not going to go into law, don't panic, but it's just very quickly to say that we might differ from other local authorities, but we assess the need for a short break under the Children's Act, so Section 17, and also under Section 2 of the Chronically Sick and Disabled Act. Now, the reason that's important is that we assess both, and we focus on what is needed to sustain parents' caring responsibilities. So we do provide under the Chronic Sick and Disabled Act, but we don't do that alone very often. So we don't provide to the child very often. It's for the family. So I'm going to speak in terms of families a lot. So I kind of term that as we're trying to provide the oxygen mask to the parent first to enable them to continue to care for their children. They've got a tough job, as we know, so we're just trying to support them. So that's kind of the framework that we work under. I appreciate that every local authority is different, but in Devon, having spoken to people, I think we do things quite differently, actually. That my team, so very much we're a service, but if I'm thinking about just what I do, we assess the need for a short break, we plan, and we put in the provision. And all of that is done by our social care assessors and social workers. That differs from other local authorities. So my team is made up of social care assessors who do the assessment, they plan, and then they consider what provision is best to meet the needs that we've identified, the unmet needs. And then the other part of my team are direct payment advisors. So I think typically you do one or the other, you don't do both. I'm not sure it works for me and what we do. So I'm open to discuss that if anybody does it differently. But so in a really small nutshell, the things that the direct payment advisors cover is basically to support our families to access direct payments through whatever system we're using at the time, which I will go into, to provide employment advice, not legal advice, just to be clear for those Mark Bates people on the call. I know, but we do the kind of intro stuff and then hand over. Then we support them with their budget. We provide training and working with Mark Bates. Actually, I'm going to plug you a few times, and and obviously engaging with our families to make sure that what we're doing does actually support them. And then from a service point of view, we get involved in quality assurance. We do have commissioners, but that's only kind of newly coming up. So my direct payment advisors have been heavily involved in that up till now. Provide engagement, we do a lot, again, that's commissioning, but we do a lot of that at the moment. I've put about setting up accounts, auditing, obviously, and we do a lot of staff training, so to our social care assessors and to our social workers. On cost management, you know, all the fun financial stuff that some of us strange people love. So I do sit in both camps. And then we've also been facilitating for health up until recently, but we continue to do so for education colleagues. So there's a fair amount that we cover in one team, hence why I'm going to struggle with containing everything that I was going to talk about. So I guess what I wanted to highlight is that it's a constant balance, that we're looking at what the support needs are, but we are also concerned with the budget, in my team particularly. So we were using a prepaid card system that many local authorities use at the moment. And what we found is that families were struggling to know what support was available. That was consistent feedback we were getting. Okay, you've given me a budget, but I don't know what is out there. And I struggle to have time to search endlessly for support, just to have a break. For us in Devon, we were doing a one-size-fits-all approach. So all families that were open to us went through that same assessment cycle. So you have your assessment, you have your plan, put your provision in, you do that again. And that could be children who are in receipt of £500 to £500,000. It didn't matter. And so that was problematic. I'll come to numbers in a minute. And so obviously we had a high number of families with overdue reviews, which means that we're not confident that our families are getting what they need. And then from a financial point of view, which is, like I said, the other part of it that I have to worry about, is we had 3 years ago, maybe even 4, we had a red audit. Those who have audits know what the scariness of that. And we were on the financial high risk register. We were experiencing high, and I mean high volumes of misspend and a huge amount of reimbursements to self. So the idea of a prepaid card is that you can see what they're spending, and then they were taking it and putting it in their own banks, and then we have no clue what they're doing. The other main factor, particularly with the prepaid card system that we were using, us in Devon, I'm not speaking for all local authorities, but us in Devon, we had a significant fraud incident within 3 months of me managing it. Unprecedented. Suddenly I'm in a room full of everyone's title started with head of something. And then little old me was going, what do we do? So that's caused, sorry, I was getting a private call. So that was an interesting experience in itself. And then what we found was that it continued to be a risk. It wasn't a one-off. And actually, if it wasn't for my team, and I do give full credit to my team, they noticed the fraud. So if it hadn't been for them, it could have cost the council millions. And obviously the impact on families would have been unbelievably huge. We didn't lose any money. We caught it. No families were affected, just to be clear. But the risk was there. So those are all the reasons that we needed to do something, and it was a need to change. Our solution, we call it the Devon wallet. Now, what that actually means is the virtual wallet with people, places, lives, PPL for short. I know there's people on the call here from there. So hi, I'm speaking from Devon's point of view, to be clear. Speak to them if you want to know more about, but from my experience of using PPL. And so if I say Devon wallet, which I will, because that's what we say, it means the same. Virtual wallet, Devon wallet, it's the same thing. So I thought it might be nice for you to talk to me a little bit. Oh, I've just given you it away. First click. How many families do you think we support in Devon? You should get it immediately. Feel free to put in the chat or talk to me. I can see some people. Anybody? I mean, I gave you the first one. How many families do you think? 1,000 families. Thank you. Any other takers?
1,465.
Oh, well done. You're clearly listening and watching. It shows that you're with me. Yes. So, I mean, that's an approximate, and at the point that we were that I took those stats. So obviously it changes every day, but at the moment about that many. Just going to. It's not showing up on my presenter thing what the next one was. So how many of those families do you think we provide direct payments to? Thousand, 50,000, 400, 1,100. It's popping up down the side for me. 600, 500. Okay, so quite a range of guesses. At the point I took the stats, 1,102. So you can see that proportion-wise, most of our families access a direct payment. How many of those 1,102 do you think employ? 400, 300, 700, 50%, 700. Sorry if I'm missing anybody, I'm just seeing it pop up. 900. Okay. 2. So at the moment, according to my stats on the Devon wallet, 267 of those families employ, and they employ 322 enablers. Again, this is the point that I took these stats. How many providers do you think we have on the Devon wallet, which I will go into more detail of what it is in a moment? Or how many providers do you think we, our families access? 50, 100, 75. I think you're all going to be shocked. 686 providers. Now that is inclusive of every type of provision. So that was a little bit of a trick question, which I'll come back to. And of that, 218 are self-employed enablers. So I've already shown you how many employed, and then we've got self-employed. And when I say providers, I do mean everything that we do, which is why it was a bit of a trick question and low figures, I think. So just to give you some context, how many direct payment advisors do you think I have to support all of this? Because I've already told you what we do. 2, 3, 10, 15, 8, 1, 10, 0. I do have some. Okay, I have 3 full-time equivalents. So if anyone thinks that's disproportionate, I would agree. And feel free to speak to the higher ups in Devon for me. It's a lot that they manage. And another reason why, what pay band? In Devon, it's E, if that means anything to you. Feel free to look that up. Okay. But with all those stats, I have no families that misspend. I told you all the scary stuff at the beginning, but I have no families that misspend because of the Devon wallet. So I'm going, this might be a little bit cringy for me, but I'm going to share a video that I created right back at the beginning. So I think we started this process 3 years ago. That I put together as we need to tell families something. So yeah, be kind. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to stop sharing this because I couldn't get it to play the video within my slides. I'm going to share over here because then I also need the sound. Right. Can you see it, first of all? Yeah. Could you hear the music? Yeah, perfect. Right, I'm going to play it and just try not to cringe too much.
Devon's Disabled Children's Service is pleased to announce the launch of the Virtual Wallet. The Virtual Wallet is Devon's new and exciting platform to access direct payments, personal budget and commission services, starting with Short Break Plan. This is part of a graduated plan to move from our current prepaid card system to the Virtual Wallet, which we will refer to as the Devon Wallet. We know family life is busy, and accessing short breaks should be simple. Families have told us they would like more visibility of the support available to them, an easy-to-use online system with everything they need in one place, and that choice and control continues to be important to them. So how does it work? Once we have set you up with an account, you will have your own Devon Wallet homepage, showing your individual budget for your child or children. Within the Devon Wallet, there is an e-marketplace populated with all support available to you, where you will have full choice and control to search, arrange and book the support you need as agreed in your plan. The enabler or service you receive support from will then contact the Devon Wallet team for payment. You will confirm the support they are claiming for with a click of a button. Then the Devon Wallet team will take care of the payment for you. Leaving you to do the things that matter to you most. When will this affect you? We have been speaking with families since the beginning of the year to gain their views and volunteers to be part of piloting the new Devon Wallet system. These families will move across first, followed by families we introduce at assessment or review point. All families will be informed in writing as they move across. If your young person is 17 years old, please don't worry, we will continue to use the current arrangement as we know that a change at this time would not be helpful to you. What happens next? There is nothing families need to do. We will contact you. We want to reassure families that the support in your short break plan will be available on the Devon Wallet before moving across. We are approaching the enablers, services and activities that our families use to populate the Devon Wallet e-marketplace first. If you know any providers who may be interested in joining the Devon Wallet, please ask them to contact us or visit the local offer page. For now, this is only available to families already open to Disabled Children's Service. For more information, check out our virtual drop-in sessions or contact us via our dedicated email, Virtual Wallet Inquiries.
I might stop that a little bit too soon. I need to go back. Present my slides. Oh, thank you. It's yeah, I haven't watched that one for a while. But most of it's still true, to be fair. There's just a few bits that have probably moved on a little bit. And that most families are now using the Devon Wallet. We've got about 100 left. Yes, we refer to it as enablers, but most people say PAs or personal assistants. Okay, so for us, and I know there's people from PPL here as well, but for us in Devon, the Devon Wallet, we set up the marketplace to be something that is an offer of all the support available to families. So if you remember back at the beginning, I was saying families were telling us they don't know what support is out there. So what was important for us is to show them. Prior to having this marketplace that has activities, it has self-employed enablers, organisations that provide enabling, specialist clubs. You can see this is a screenshot that I've put on the slide. You see the different options down the side so that parents can filter. They can filter by area, etc. And so prior to having this option, the expectation was that we put in a plan, they have their prepaid card, and they can only use that prepaid card for the provisions within their plan. So literally what was stated in their plan. If they wanted to differ from that plan, they had to call us and ask permission. Now you can imagine with the amount of families we were serving, A, that's problematic that they have to speak to my 3 full-time equivalent DPAs, to direct payment advisors, to ask permission. B, do you think many did? So it just, as a method of supporting families wasn't great. And so this means that because we've decided that everything on the marketplace is an offer to all families with direct payments. So you can only have access to this if you are open to our service and in receipt of direct payments. This isn't open to everybody. So they've already been assessed as appropriate to have direct payments, first of all. So we do a suitability checklist. And that direct payments is the right method to provide the support to meet their unmet needs. And so once they're accessing the Devon wallet, which I'll show you a little bit about how, but I won't go into that too much, they can access any of the provisions within the wallet to meet their children's needs. So we check, we have, with lack of a method at the beginning, I created a Microsoft form, MS form, to gain self-reported quality assurance information from providers. So if they're self-employed, that they've got insurance, that they've got the correct training, that they've got that they are in fact self-employed, evidence of, etc. So it is self-reported, but it's a basic level of something, which we didn't have even that before, because families were choosing completely without us being aware. And like I said, they weren't often checking with us. So we have that confirmation, and then it's also providing consent for us to share their information with PPL to then onboard them on our marketplace. Now, the beauty of doing it that way means that once families have their budget and they're accessing the Devon wallet, they can use their funds on anything in the marketplace. I mean, anything in there is permitted, which is why I can say we have zero misspend, because everything in there is permitted. It might be a review point. We think, did we get it right? Is that budget the right level, etc. If they've spent it all, say we've given them enough money to have 6 hours of enabling a week, and they've spent it all on memberships, for example, we might question, is that meeting need? Is that meeting the outcomes? Did we get it right? But they've done nothing wrong, which I can tell you in terms of our relationship with families has made a massive difference, that we're no longer telling them off after they've done something or putting the fear in them that they can't spend their money ever because we're going to tell them off. So we have kind of both sides. Everything is okay. And we're just going to have a chat about, is it meeting need? So from a relationship with families, it's made a big difference. So just in really brief terms, how it kind of works in the general sense, there are always caveats to different families' needs. So families who can't access the internet, etc. That there are all sorts of different methods, but in the kind of usual use, we set up the Devon wallet account, and PPL send login details. The family still talk to their providers. That was something that was really clear, that we've been really clear. That's how we decided to do it. They still talk to their providers and have that relationship. So they still make the bookings with them how they normally would. But then they order their support through the marketplace. The support takes place, and then the orders that the parents have placed tell the providers, parents said, yes, they want, I don't know, 3 sessions at your club. You've delivered that. And because the parent has ordered it, that's them consenting. The provider can say, yeah, I provided that, and PPL will pay them. So it is a smoother process for families to get the support they need. They can see it, they can speak to their providers, they can book it, and then providers get paid, and the parents don't have to worry about the bill, essentially. In theory, we have had some teething issues with that, but that's kind of how we've chosen to use it. We also have families that employ, and again in Devon, we've chosen to use PPL's payroll service. It's kind of the same thing. They get their account, log in, and they will see their employed enabler, or PA, some of you would call it, and the PA enabler claims their hours through the online timesheet on the Devon wallets. They have their own login. They claim through that timesheet, and then the parent just logs in and goes, yeah, that support happened. So all they need to do is confirm that the hours happened, and PPO will pay them. I can't tell you the difference for families who don't, all they want is the support. They don't want to have to worry about the payments and the technical side of it, if you like. So what we've done to support families, because obviously this was a massive change, you saw my little video. So we put stuff on our local offer. We sent newsletters out. We did press releases, etc. Lots of new experiences for me, writing all of that, and creating a lot of visual. So I created leaflets, videos, as you saw, how-to guides, etc. You can see on screen there's a kind of how to access the Devon wallet, and there's various different pages in there. Now I created that initially because there wasn't anything from PPL, but ta-da! PPL in that time have created an entire website with all the support that families could ever need. So we still send our little brochure out, so it's kind of a Devon stamp on it, but actually they've provided a website with links for the families, for the enablers, for us, etc. So there's lots of information now available online. But I've got a little image there of the MS form that I was talking about for providers. We send out welcome letters to families, and then PPL phone our families at referral point to make sure that they're set up and okay, and send the login details, etc. And then the ongoing, we provided, I don't think we do it anymore, but we were providing monthly drop-ins for families, and for providers, we consistently had uptake with that, so families and providers could come and ask questions. We have a dedicated mailbox, phone lines, and as do PPL. So we kind of worked very much in unison, that families could contact us about their plans, etc. But technical issues, they could go straight to PPL. They didn't have to come to us, then go to PPL. That's still ongoing. They have a mailbox, a chat, which I think is probably the thing that is used the most. They have a chat option, and obviously a phone line. Something that we're working towards is our commissioners. Again, it's a small little image, but our commissioners are working on their commissioning strategy. So there's going to be more that we're doing with families, which I won't go into now, but there is a lot more coming. And I'm aware that PPL are introducing an app, which is something our families have been asking for. So initially it will be for the enablers to be able to see their pay, their when they're going to get pay, all those kinds of things, and it will kind of evolve from there. But what I'm really appreciative of is that we give feedback to PPL, and then we've seen lots of improvements since we started. So the website, the app coming, etc. It's definitely been an evolving process. So if you were to use it now, it'd be a very different experience for you than it was for us. So what does that mean? Now, this image in the middle is something, again, I created at the end of us doing our implementation. You probably can't read it very well, but it's all the kind of highlights of the things that it did for us. I'm going to sound like genuinely, it's something that has made a massive difference for us. And so sorry if I'm sounding overboard, but it really has made a difference to Devon. We did have challenges, which again, like I said, you may not experience. Now there's been a lot of learning, so feel free to talk to me. Lots of learning from our experience. But the first biggest barrier or issue, challenge, whatever you want to call it, was engaging providers. If you're planning to go down this route or make a change of any kind, providers are key. And I think I would do things potentially differently if I were to do it again. But yeah, that was probably our biggest. Now they're on board, our feedback is really positive. Just getting them in the door was the issue. I've already said creating lots of communications that I've never had to do before, but now there's lots more available, so that's kind of improved. So I had a lot of pressure because of the financial risk. I had a lot of pressure to move families as quick as possible. Just why can't you just move them all tomorrow? Which I stood my ground and said, no, I want it to work for our families and make sure that the support they need is accessible to them. That was a promise I made to families, and I stuck to that. Much to finance side of DCC didn't like that take, but what I committed to, or committed my team to, was to move 900 of our families within a year. And you'll see on my little highlights thing, we did that. We achieved 921. So I kept, hopefully, most people happy in the process, whilst maintaining that families got the support they needed, and they had, every family was spoken to ensure it was right for them. My team will tell you at the very beginning, trying to explain to families the benefits of a system that they can't show. There was no tangible information. In fact, when they first started having conversations, we hadn't even signed the contract with PPL. So they were talking about something that didn't exist, which was incredibly difficult. Now, you might think what I've shown you already is, that was only a little bit of information. I'm still not really sure what it is or how it works. Believe me, try doing that with nothing. So that for us was really difficult. So it's much easier now. I have actually got Vienna on the call with me, who does a lot of our demonstrations and trainings. And so now that we can actually show it, it makes it a lot easier to explain. And can't shy away from it. We had some negative press on social media. But if you were to look closely at the names, it was the same few names, and it was around 6 families out of, at the time, 1600 families. And those that were commenting on social media were those that hadn't even accessed it yet. So it was really difficult for me to, I had to write a press release, which I've never done before, to defend without being defensive, and saying, actually, these families that haven't even seen it, we haven't spoken to them yet. So how do they know that it doesn't work? So a word of caution, I guess, with how you manage that if you were to do a similar thing. But the benefits for me massively outweigh all of that. The visibility of support, as I've already described, is a game changer. So we've got families that it might be that we don't know what provision would be best. So when we do our plans, we try to put in what we think would be the best provision or support to meet the needs that we've identified. But sometimes that's it's not clear. And so we move them onto the wallet, and then they can have a look at everything that's available. Or it could be that they no longer have that enabler that they would have been using, and so they can go onto the wallet and they can search for all the different variety of self-employed companies, etc., and they can choose the right service for them without us having to. What we were doing before is, well, my knowledge in my head, so depending on the worker, in my head of your area, these are the people that I know of, which isn't particularly helpful to families. they can look themselves. It gives them, you know, from my point of view, it empowers the families to search for themselves. For us, it means there's no more misspend, which is unheard of, I think. Changed our relationship with families, which I've already kind of noted. We didn't have quality assurance before, and now I can actually give you a list of providers. I can tell you the figures. Again, I could never have done that before. Those who use the prepaid card system will know there is no way of easily pulling that together. But I can click of a button, pull a report. This is how many I've got. The 100% consent compliance is that we have a what we call a direct payment agreement, where when a family logs in to the Devon wallet, they sign up to, so it's a virtual signature, they sign up to PPL's terms and conditions to accessing the Devon wallet, but they also sign our direct payment agreement. And they can't move past and they can't access anything until they have. So that's why I'm confident that I can say we've got 100% consent, which legally you have to have, which we didn't consistently have before. We were sending it out, posting it out. It would delay families getting support because then they have to wet sign and then they have to send it back. And you can imagine how long that can take, or multiple sending it out. And it is illegal to provide direct payments without consent. So we really couldn't provide support to families until they'd signed. So this means that they don't have to worry about that. They're like, yeah, of course I'm consenting. No, I need your signature. And you know, the importance of that is understandably, they don't need to worry about that. But it means that that we've got that, and quickens up the process for families. The last point, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'm aware that I've already taken up loads of time. That the I'm going to come back to questions. Sorry. That we provide funds when families need it. If you want to know more about that, I can explain probably later. But it means the way that we work with PPL, that we put in money at certain times of the year, so that they have the money they need when they need it. So particularly for children, holidays, etc. There's more need for more money ahead of holidays than there is potentially in term time. And then we also, instead of some local authorities, and what we used to do is we put in money and then take it back again because they've reached how many weeks of funds that you want to put in, or it's dictated that you can put in. We top up. So we put in so much money. When they've reached their maximum value, they don't get any more. So rather than giving and taking, we just give it to them when they need it. Again, I can go into more detail if you're interested in that side of it. But it's changed our relationship with families, that instead of giving and taking, we're just giving when they need it. Some of the development stuff, I'm going to have to just whiz through, I'm afraid. So I've said about we transferred, we reached that goal. What that meant is that we reduced overdue reviews by 46%, down to 19%. Now that's even less now, because those were stats I did in March last year. Huge. So that means for me that families have been spoken to, and we're confident that more families have the support they need than we were previously. Increased employment, and because of the increased support and working with PPL. We've decided as a local authority to move all employment on costs to a central payment method. So Mark Bates, I'm plugging you again. We have arranged that instead of the insurance coming out of individual accounts, we, as default, use Mark Bates as our insurer, preferred insurer. Families have a choice to use whoever they want, but that's what we do, so that they have it. We are confident that our employers have insurance from day one, so that's compliant. And then Mark Bates send us an invoice once a month with all of our families that have insurance. So what that means is the money we put in is there for support. They don't have to worry about budgeting for all the on costs, so the insurance costs, and then PPL have done the same with us. They don't have to worry about budgeting for payroll fees because PPL charge us centrally. It doesn't go into individual pots. It's an invoice that goes straight to us. I'm not going to have time to go into that, but we started working with gradually fading support. If you want to know more about that, we're the first local authority to start piloting with them. It's improving our outcomes for our young people. It's about making sure that they're as independent as possible. We're also working with Independent Living Group to develop our employer and employees packs. That's a work in progress, but I'm more confident that the advice we're giving and the support we're giving is much more robust for our families. Taking, they're already responsible for so much, it kind of reduces some of that worry for them. And I've mentioned Mark Bates, ILG, PPL, and gradually fading support. All of those providers helped us to put on a direct payment day back in October. And they funded the event. So collectively, they funded the event and provided a free lunch for our families, which was the first ever event. So again, another learning curve for me, putting on an event for families and providers. Actually, the feedback we've got, they'd like it to be separate next time, but they really enjoyed it, and it was a really positive event to be able to share information with families and give an update on where we are and where we're going. So those are the kind of things we're working on. I've touched on what I would say our learning points are. But effective communication, absolutely. That was key. Providing information along the way, and listening. So we asked for feedback constantly, and then did something about that feedback. We didn't just ignore it, good and the bad. And so I guess my main message is being prepared before you launch is key. That there was so much work. We probably spent a year before we even started doing so much work to make sure that families' experience was as smooth as possible. Be prepared to adapt along the way, and be prepared to learn for the future. Sorry, I've kind of rushed the end there, but I know that there's questions. And I just wanted, the last thing I want to say is that Essex, when they came to do a peer review, which they weren't looking at the Devon wallet, that wasn't the purpose. They were there to look at our social care practice. But I was pretty pleased that they went out of their way to comment. And when they gave the feedback to children's services, so not just a disabled children's service, they name checked us and said that they were really impressed with what we've done in our team. So there you go. I will stop.
Thank you, Wendy.
Presenting. Sorry for really quick at the end there. I told you I would struggle.
No, that was fascinating. That time just flew by. So, and I know there's some questions. So there's quite a few questions in the chat for you. So should we open the floor up as well?
Do you want to ask me or?
Yes, I can do that for you. So if I don't miss any of these, let's see. The first one. Is this info also listed in your council's community directory website, assuming you have one? So no, not in the way that you're meaning. So that's something that my preference would be that that's something that becomes available, and that the Devon wallet is our source of information, because we are keeping it up to date. And one of the difficulties with any kind of directory is keeping it up to date. So my preference would be yes, but at the moment, no. That makes sense. Okay, so another question. What happened for the families who struggle with technology? Did you still use the prepaid card for those?
No, so those who, depends on what the issue is. So those who maybe don't have access to the internet, or don't have a device, they use the phone. They phone up PPL and they're talked through and they're supported that way. PPL offer enhanced support as a extra support that we can pay for, so that families are fully supported by PPL. And then my direct payment advisors also support with any of the clicking if that's needed. But where possible, we try to give families as much control as possible if they're able to manage a budget. That's the main bit for me, is as long as they're able to manage a budget, we'll support them.
Well, you've got some more questions from Laura. Getting good value for money out of this session. So what if people want to use a provider who's not in the e-wallet marketplace system to meet specific needs? Does the provider have to onboard first, or can the family go outside of the e-wallet, thinking about care act choice and control?
Okay, so first of all, we're children's, so it's different to the Care Act, but we have come up with many creative ways to support providers to be onboarded. A very simple way is, if they don't want to be on the marketplace and to use the system, they can simply email their invoice. So from a provider point of view, it's pretty straightforward. We still ask that they're visible. If they don't want to be visible, I didn't touch on this. If they don't want to be visible to everyone, they don't have to be. They can be visible just to the families they work with. So for example, employed enablers are only ever visible to their employer. They're not available to everybody. And so we, as a local authority, we can choose to make a provision available to everyone, or we've put it on there because it meets a specific need.
Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. So do adult social care use the same system?
At the moment, no, but they are exploring it. And Lucy, I can see, is here, who works closely with that. They are watching us and looking at it. Speak to Lucy if you want to know more.
Brilliant. Can the same wallet straddle children and adults, or do people need to re-register as they move between departments after 18?
Interesting question. That would be something we'd need to explore if adults do take it up. I guess it depends on the types of provisions that would and wouldn't be agreed across. But if there is crossover, then absolutely, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do something along those lines. But it's not something we've explored yet.
Okay, cool. So where do Devon register their available PAs? Do they get accredited somehow? Do they self-register on the e-wallet, or does the DP team register people onboarding, I guess?
So yeah, so they all, including so self-employed, just looking at the question again. So self-employed would go through that self-reporting form that I talked about, and they would register and they would be available. Again, they would say on our form, it says, do you want to be visible to everybody? And then they're available. And so when you go into the marketplace, you can select self-employed enablers, and then you see the list of everybody available, and then you can filter it down again into your area. So everyone is given the opportunity to say what area they cover. I'm not sure if that answered that question or not.
Just the accreditation, I suppose, isn't it? Who does the registration? Who does the onboarding, sort of the practicalities?
So the actual putting them physically on the marketplace would be PPL, but we provide the information. Devon provide the information, which is my DPAs.
Cool. Okay, so it's a good one. Setting up the budget. So how are families assessed as to what direct payment they get? Is that based on hours or a budget amount?
Yes, it is my remit. I do it all. So yes, so we developed a tool probably a year before we started doing this, where we is used as a guide, but we call it a decision support framework, where we look at the impact of the child's disability on them, and then the impact of their disability on their parent carer. So it goes through all the kind of domains of need, and then focusing on unmet social care needs, it then provides a guide as to the number of hours for the year that would be needed to meet that need. It's not a set rule. We can deviate from it. It just helps workers to have a guide. And then it also provides a guide as to how much would be necessary for the local authority to pay per hour. And then there are some considerations for geographical area, family dynamics, etc. So we kind of use a tool, but it's based on the assessment.
Okay, so I think we've got time for probably just one more question. So
sorry
No,
everybody.
it's been amazing. No, how do you monitor the services to ensure people are still registered with the correct bodies, etc.? So once I guess they're inside the system, who tracks that?
So that's a conversation I literally had yesterday with commissioning. So we do the initial at the moment, and my team actually, again, I had meetings yesterday where my team are going in and just doing a refresh of what's in there. Is it still appropriate? Is the detail still correct? Are the costing still correct? We're doing an overview of all of that. So I guess we're 2 years in now, but obviously we were busy at the beginning, so I'd want to do it more regularly, but our commissioning colleagues are going to be picking up a project soon to develop more robust oversight.
Brilliant. Okay, amazing. I think we'll call it a day then, exactly on 12 o'clock, just to say thank you very much, Wendy.
I'm more than happy to answer questions. If anyone wants to email me personally, I'm more than happy to cover anything else.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Wendy. So I'm just doing some wonderful work down there, and I think this is, for me, this is the only example of this in England where you've got this functioning in such an amazing sort of closed but open system, if that makes sense. So yes, but thank you very much for sharing that with everybody. Much appreciated. We'll be able to share the slides as well, presumably.
Yes.
With that. So we'll put the session recording online as well, so people can access that if colleagues couldn't get along today. So
okay.
Brilliant. Okay, well, just to say thank you everybody for coming along. Have a great rest of the day, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one, which is in a couple of weeks.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.